Recall in 2015, one of the aspects of the 5-point agenda in the SMART is the T, though the last in that agenda, but by no means the least, which is transform environment through urban renewal. Not long ago, as part of our effort to fast-track the transformation of our urban centers, we commenced the process of enumeration of lands and landed properties across the state. And in the course of that exercise, we have discovered that there are individuals who have turned themselves into land bankers. Government gave them land and C of O, and by the rules, within 2 years, you are expected to have developed your land. But we have discovered that these land bankers who have become merchants are impinging on our ability to fast-track the process of development of our urban centers. And instead of developing the land that was given to them, either by way of privilege, they have decided to continue to speculate and then keep this land such that even in the city center, you will see a very thick bush. Meanwhile, the C of O have been granted several years in the past. As a government, as from today, we are giving them only 3 months' notice. Anybody who has a land with a C of O of more than 2 years, we are not talking about those who got their land 2 years up to this point, because by the rule, at least there's a time before we can take this action. Anybody who has been allocated a parcel of land by the government and has a C of O beyond 2 years and has not commenced the process of developing that land, 3 months from now, the governor will take advantage of the extant law as provided for in Section 5 of the Land Use Act, revoke that C of O, and then make that land available to other persons who can easily develop them, or government will even use that land for other things that will serve the general public. They don't want to develop it. They don't want to even make it available to those who want to develop. They keep watching it and keep making phone calls. Please, how much is your land in that area? That's what they are just monitoring. Nobody in government is looking for any land to buy from any land banker. That is usually a transaction between individuals. Government is not telling you how much you want to sell your land or how much you should not sell. But government is saying you can't just become a land banker and then take your land to become a deposit in your bank, and you now allow that money, if it were to be money, to begin to grow. Meanwhile, that land that you are not using is not only defacing our urban centers, it's also causing us trouble because some of them have become den of criminals. There are a number of this land that have become easy for criminals to take advantage of because nobody is looking after them. You fence it up, nobody goes in there, but criminals go there to hide. They smoke all sorts of things and then come out to attack people in the society. And so we are saying if you are not ready, more than 2 years after the C of O was extended to you, it means you will not be ready again. Either you make that land available to other persons, whether it's through sale or whatever you want to do that is legitimate, do so. Because if you don't, and you don't want to commence development, 3 months from now, we will activate Section 5 of the Land Use Act and revoke that C of O. And you know what that means? Once that C of O is revoked, the ownership of that land reverts to the government that gave it to you ab initio. And at that time, government will now be at liberty without having to pay you compensation to do what it needs to do with that land.